Hi guys, welcome to another video of, you guys are probably gonna scream at me for this. This is the Bookternet All-Star Challenge, which is a wonderful challenge created by Rachael Marie, which has the goal of collecting money for the crisis that's going on in the world right now. For every person that does this challenge, whether it's on Bookstagram or on Booktube, she will donate money to a charity that a winner can choose up until $75. And in the description of this video, I will also post a link to the charity page where you can donate money if you want to. The idea of this video is that Rachael Marie created a list of Bookternet all-star books, basically books that were super popular on Booktube and Bookstagram. These are the books that we wanted to read when we started Booktube because they were so popular, kind of like the classic Bookternet books, and we're just gonna talk about what we thought of them, if we've even read them, if we haven't, if we maybe plan on them, why not? Basically, it's gonna be a video of me showing how bad of a booktuber I am. I have the little list of Bookternet All-Stars on my phone, so that's why I'm watching my phone. First one is Angie Thomas, the author of The Hate You Give and On the Come Up, and I have to admit that I haven't read any of her books. That's because generally I don't really reach for contemporary books, but I know that these ones are just very important, not just for fun, but also have a very important message in them, so I do actually plan on reading them one day. The next one is Shatter Me by Tara Mafi. So I have actually read Shatter Me after trying about 3 times to finish it. I ended up finishing it and I was just not a fan. I don't really remember why because it's been a long time since I've read these books. But I don't plan on continuing the series. And here's the thing, okay? The funny thing about Shatter Me is I feel like if I read this series, I would be like a Warner fan because he's one of those classic enemies to lovers characters, right? And since I love that trope, I feel like I would probably love that, but I just don't have any interest in like continuing what is now a 6-book series. So I'm sorry. Next one is Leigh Bardugo. I don't know, I feel like I don't really talk about her books very often. I'm hugging my books. I almost forgot what hugging feels like. Leigh Bardugo is one of my favorite authors, that's why I own so many of her books. Oh my god. Ninth House is a recent favorite. The Six of Crows duology is one of my favorite books of all time. And then we have one of the OG Booktube fantasy series, and that is the Grisha trilogy, which holds a very special place in my heart. I think I never talk about what my actual opinions on these books were, because I actually did not give any of these books 5 stars because I remember reading them and being very annoyed with a lot of things that happen in them, and I didn't think that they were like amazing, fantastic books. But it holds a very special place in my heart because this was the very first high fantasy story I ever read in my life, and it's what made me fall in love with the genre. Also, if I look at all the tropes that I like nowadays, like high fantasy, fantasy inspired by different cultures, enemies to lovers, the pool of the darkness trope, training sequences, main character figuring out they have special powers, a magic system that reminds me of Avatar: The Last Airbender. This series has all of it, so that's why it kind of holds a special place in my heart, because the Grisha trilogy kind of symbolizes to me what I like in books. The next one is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which is a book that completely just kind of went over my head because it was popular in the time that I was absent from Booktube, but it's still going around on Booktube. It's still super popular, and I actually was not interested in reading it, to be honest, because I was just not interested in reading a book about fae until I heard that it's apparently pretty dark and it has a kind of like hate to love romance. It's just really easy to get me to read a book if you just tell me that it has a hate to love romance. But I also asked you guys on Twitter if you thought I would like the book, and it was very 50-50 split. So a lot of people did think that I would not like the book. So honestly, I might read it just to see if I like it or not. Let me know in the comments if you think that The Cruel Prince is a book that I would like or not. The next one is The Bone Witch by Rinchipeko. This is a book that, I'm gonna be honest, I've never heard about. When I saw Rachael Marie's video, I was like, what book? So I think this is one of those books that may have been popular in the time that I was not on Booktube, and haven't really heard a lot about it since. So obviously I did read it and don't really feel the need to read it. The next one, my Dearest Vishwa. I was actually surprised by the fact that I've only read 4 of her books. Oh no, I've also read City of Ghosts, but I don't own that. But she's also one of my all-time favorite authors, because Vicious is one of my favorite books of all time. A Gathering of Shadows was also one of the most fun, fantastic fantasy series that I've ever read. I still have to read A Conjuring of Light, and this Savage Song I also really enjoyed. And I talk about her books a lot, and obviously I've read her books, but I have not read all of the ones that are out there, because she writes a lot of books. But I'm super excited for, what's it called, The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue. I have not read the sequel to Vicious Vengeful because I'm scared, because a lot of people said it's really not as good as Vicious, so part of me just wants to not read it so that this can just remain a standalone in my mind. And then I also haven't read the sequel to This Savage Song. Gotta be honest, I don't really feel the need to, but that's just because I'm a terrible person and I really suck at finishing series. Next up we have The Lunar Chronicles, which I have such fond memories of. I read these books before I joined Booktube, and I think I also found out about them through a friend, not even Booktube. I remember that right after I started Booktube, Winter was about to be released, so this one was already on my list when I started Booktube, and I really enjoyed the series. Gotta admit, never actually finished it, but we're just gonna brush past that. The next one is Adam Silvera, of whom I have not read a single book. Again, because I tend to just not really gravitate towards contemporary, especially his books. From what I've heard about them, they're all tragic contemporary stories, and I'm just not interested in it. Then we have Cassandra Clare. I don't even know how many books she's written, like definitely over 20, I think. I've read City of Bones. I enjoyed it when I read it. I never continued the series, and I'm gotta be honest, I have no interest in it because the series is so long, and as I've just made very clear with the rest of the books that I talked about, I'm already bad at finishing series that I really like, so just adding a super long new series to that list just because it's popular on Booktube, not gonna do that. The next one on our list is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which has been all the rage, and I do actually plan on reading it. I haven't read it yet, but I really enjoyed Daisy Jones and the Six, so I have the Seven Husbands of I have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo on my audiobook app, and I do plan on reading that one. I think I'm really gonna enjoy it. Then we have Laini Taylor, of whom I've also not read anything. I just saw the new covers for the Daughter of Smoke and Boat series, and I'm not gonna lie to you, that convinced me to maybe buy them when they come out. And I really want to read Strange the Dreamer, because that just sounds like a book that I would really like, because it sounds very whimsical, ethereal, fairy tale-esque fantasy, which is my thing. So I do actually genuinely plan on reading that series at one point. Then we have the Illuminae Files, which is a very, very popular science fiction YA story. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I have no interest in reading it. There's something about the format of it. It's not just a book, it's like full of files and computer stuff, and you have to kind of get through the story by reading all those files. I have no interest in that. Then we have Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This one sounds intriguing to me. I like the idea that everyone just lives eternally, so people have to choose who dies. I like that idea, so I might read it, but it's not high on my priority list. Again, I don't want to start another series. Then we have Sarah J. Maas. She's not the author for me. I feel like I talk a lot about how I didn't like Throne of Glass and how I'm not really a Sarah J. Maas fan, but I don't think I've ever given you like a full explanation on my opinion on Sarah J. Maas, so let me just tell you. So Throne of Glass, I talked about a lot, but I gave that book 1 star. I didn't like it, I'm sorry. It just didn't do what I expected it to do. But then Crown of Midnight, and I feel like I don't know if I ever mentioned this on my channel, but I gave Crown of Midnight 5 stars. I loved that book. Then I read Air of Fire, which was just a 3-star, kind of like 2-3-star read for me. I liked it, but I didn't like the turn that the story was taking away from everything that I loved so much in Crown of Midnight. And from what I've gathered, based on like reviews and stuff, the people who really loved Crown of Midnight and the way that the story was progressing in Crown of Midnight tend to not like where the story is going in the rest of the series. So I unhold Queen of Shadows and I do not intend on continuing the series. And then we have her Court of Thorns and Roses series, which I read the first one off and I just enjoyed it. Didn't think it was amazing, I just enjoyed it. And A Court of Mist and Fury I never actually finished. Although I did have a good time reading it, I really didn't like the continuity issues that it had. And her writing style is just not my thing. Her writing feels very controlling. Whenever I read one of her books, it feels like she's just like standing right beside you with like a gun to your head of like, you have to like this character, you have to hate this character, you have to ship these 2 characters, you cannot have any other opinion. That's what her writing feels like to me. I don't like it, and I understand, yes, of course, in every book you read it's pretty clear who you're supposed to like and who you're supposed to dislike. But in Sergio Mas books, it's like thrown onto you. Like there's no way that you can have any other opinion, and I don't like that. I like to make up my own mind on who I like and who I don't. An Ember in the Ashes, which I actually read, enjoyed, but not too much, and I don't think I'm going to continue the series. I'll be very brief about that. Then we have Shannon Maguire, who is the author of the Wayward Children series, which you know, you always have a bunch of books that are on your radar, but like very low on your radar. That's what I have with Shannon Maguire. The Wayward Children sounds really cool, but for some reason I've never prioritized it. Every month that I pick my new books to buy or to read, I've never prioritized Shannon Maguire, so let me know in the comments if you think I will enjoy her books or not. Then we have The Poppy War, which is another one of those books that I had not heard of because it was probably popular in the time that I was absent from Booktube. I know now that it's a fantasy and that it's based on Chinese culture. Sounds really cool. That's all I can say about it. It's not really... Again, I have such a long personal TBR that I don't really feel the need to add another popular series onto it just because it's popular, so... And then the last one, we have To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han, which I've actually read, and I did like it. I think I read it in like maybe 2 or 3 sittings. It was a good time, but not so much that I felt like continuing the series. I watched the Netflix films, and I'm kind of content with that. I don't feel the need to continue the series. In the end, it appears that there are 10 books out of the 18 on this list that I did not read. I did read 8, but 4 of them were like the first books in the series, and I don't plan on continuing them, so you tell me what this says about me. I'm thinking of doing a video in which I just try to find out how many series I've actually finished and then probably spiral down into an existential crisis at the end. But the point of this challenge is to kind of spread some Bookternet love. So I do want to say that I've found all of my favorite books through Booktube. Again, like V. Schwab and Leigh Bardugo have become my favorite authors. Yes, there are a lot of popular things that I happen to not have read or not continued, but there are so many fantastic books that I love that I found through Booktube and that I'm very grateful for. Also, of course, this list of 18 books does not encompass all the popular Bookternet books. Of course, there are more. Again, in the description will be a link to the charity page. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon with another one. Goodbye!